Hold the front page. I'm Len Topic and welcome to Press Release, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is about the stories making the headlines. This week we'll be looking at tall tales from all around the world and sorting out the reality from the rubbish. First, a roundup of the news with the events that cause more questions than answers. We visit Iran after all those years of a little local difficulty. Then we go next door to Iraq, where the American president spent billions only to learn that money can't buy him friends. And we take a trip to the United States, where one presidential candidate has accused Mr. Trump of being a liar. So nothing new there. What weirdness, what a week, what a world. Let's get down to the details and separate the political friction from the political fiction. If you've been following developments in Syria, you'll know that its President al-Assad has been getting back to normal after 8 years of trouble in his land. He's been fighting against US-backed insurgents who've been working to topple the government and President Assad himself. Well, in another knockback to the Bashir-bashing backers, the Syrian President recently visited his closest regional ally, Iran. Ayatollah Khamenei in Tehran and President Assad agreed to continue cooperation at all levels for the interests of the two friendly nations. That's good news for regional peace, but not very good news for all those Western powers which wanted to get rid of him and, for that matter, get rid of lots of other regional governments which just weren't obedient enough to Washington. Instead, Syria, Iran and Russia have restored order in the chaos, and it's not the sort of order the West wanted. President Assad's arrival in Iran was the first known foreign visit, apart from one to Russia, since the start of the war. Why Iran? Simple. Iran is actually on the winning side here, and the winning side isn't the same side as America's side. Tehran also has increasing influence in the region, covering everything from economic and trade deals through to regional security. None of this will be making the West very happy. They've spent billions trying to get rid of Assad, while continuing their sanctions against Iran. Maybe the message here is that, after all these years, America just isn't that powerful anymore. Or maybe it's picking the wrong fights it can't win. Meanwhile, President Assad and Ayatollah Khamenei have once again shown that which does not kill you makes you stronger. As Syria and Iran get on with business, Iran has been conducting some extra business of its own, this time in Iraq. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani went to Baghdad to meet up with the Iraqi government to improve cooperation on energy, transport, agriculture, industry and health. Here's the problem for Washington. Iraq can help Iran get past America's one-sided sanctions, which Washington imposed after ignoring all the good work done in an international nuclear deal with the country. Once again, here's the law of unintended consequences hard at work. Precisely because of those sanctions, Iran is finding ways to improve its trade ties with neighbors, and it seems to be working. Iranian guests are welcomed there, and things seem to go very well. In a fitting irony, at around the same time as all this was going on, news emerged that President Trump was scared of being in Iraq. He described his fears for the institution of the president, namely himself right now, because of all the frightening safety precautions they had to take to keep him safe. And here's the thing, Trump is said to have spent $7 billion in Iraq before his visit, and he didn't even get any official reception by any high-ranking representative of the Iraqi authorities. For that kind of money, even I'd have organised a reception for him, maybe in a Baghdad McDonald's. It's what he would have wanted. Meanwhile, Iran's president was greeted with open arms by officials on his arrival. So, while the Iranian president visits Iraq through the front door, America's president sneaks in the back. But that's not very surprising when you remember Washington is halfway across the world and Tehran is just next door. That's what tends to happen when you don't stay in your own neighborhood. Though having said that, The Americans don't seem to even be getting on with their own neighbours over there. Just ask Mexico and Venezuela. Maybe it's time for timid Trump to get a few lessons in international relations from Tehran. And the biggest lesson for Desperate Don could be, whatever he's bought in America, when it comes to Iraq, money can't buy him love. Even if Donald Trump did learn how to get on with people, could you trust him? Presidential hopeful US Senator Bernie Sanders, who's launched his presidential campaign for the 2020 elections, called his Republican rival a pathological liar who embarrasses the United States daily. He's certainly been direct in his words, saying Trump does not know the difference between truth and lies. Sanders thinks that Desperate Don has made some rather fruity choices in terms of his new allies. Hinting at Donald's bromance with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Sanders reckons Trump has words of praise and affection for those leaders who despise democracy while picking fights with long-time Democratic allies. Sanders continued that Trump told the world very clearly how he feels about democracy and dissent when he refused to criticize Saudi Arabia after that despotic regime murdered a journalist in cold blood. He even called Trump the most dangerous president in modern American history. Well, the president isn't taking this line down. He's even accused the Democratic Party, which is not Sanders, he's an independent, of promoting socialism. Socialism! Who would have thought it? Worse still, Sanders seems to be socialist too. Yeah, Sanders wants universal health care, a $15 minimum wage, and free public university education. You can't possibly have that in America. People might get healthy and happy and educated, and then they'd never vote for Trump. The battle lines are drawn, and who knows, maybe President Sanders could actually do something Trump could never do: make America popular again. To quote an old United States catchphrase, I'd buy that for $1. And as usual, I'll make some predictions about what could happen in the weeks ahead. As Iran and Syria continue to improve their mutual relations, both these countries offer to help America learn how to get on with its neighbours. As Donald Trump admits he's scared to go to Iraq, Tehran, which isn't scared of being in Iraq, offers to look after him if he makes another visit. And back home, presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders could propose a new way to test who is the best candidate to be the next President of the United States: a lie detector. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and join me next time for Press Release, the show that takes the political fiction out of the political friction. Hold the front page, but don't trust it, trust me.